Welcome back to TarHeelIllustrated.com, and if you happen to be watching us on YouTube, our channel Tar Heel Illustrated, I'm THI publisher Andrew Jones, and this is the first edition of AJ's Monday Musings, where I get to talk about anything I want. Of course, it has to do with UNC football, basketball, and recruiting, because that's what we focus on here at THI. This first edition, easy. It's like putting a giant softball on a tee and whacking through the thing, because the Tar Heels in both sports had a big week this past week. And I'm going to kick it off with hoops and Brandon Huffman. Now, he announced the previous week that he was putting his name in the transfer portal, something that didn't surprise us. We alerted our readers to this back in November in a read between the lines kind of way that this was likely to happen. A 6 scholarship would open up, and Huffman made it official a week and a half ago. But he also found his new home a few days ago, Jacksonville State. It's a Division I program, and I think it's a great spot for Brandon. There are a lot of reasons why he didn't get on the floor more than he did at UNC, but this is an opportunity for him to really go to a program that needs his defensive presence, needs his rebounding presence, needs his ability around the rim, especially in that league where I think he can have some success. And really, if he can add a little bit more to his offensive game, he could be a big-time help to Jacksonville State, and I hope he's able to provide that for him. If you've ever had the opportunity to meet Brandon, you know he's a nice kid. He's someone that I always enjoyed talking to when I had the opportunities at UNC, and he is a kid that really wanted to help out and be more of a factor than he was, but he just didn't have the ceiling that other kids maybe in the program have. A little bit lower ceiling, but there's nothing wrong with that. There are a lot of really good players all over college basketball. Jacksonville State's a phenomenal place for him to land, and I hope the kid does really, really well, and UNC fans should cheer for him and root for him to do well at Jacksonville State. The other basketball news, Dontrez Styles. Again, we were on this thing all along. Clint Jackson, our basketball recruiting director, did an amazing job covering this. Dina King, our jack of all trades, who does so many things for us, she was also on top of this as well. And Dontrez Styles did pick Carolina over NC State, but I think he was pretty strong in Carolina all along. It's a school he wanted to go to. There's a connection in Kinston with Jerry Stackhouse and, of course, with Reggie Bullock. And there are other players from Kinston as well. But that's the Carolina part of the connection there. And he just wanted to be a Tar Heel. So now he's going to be a Tar Heel. And I love what Clint Jackson said in a podcast we did the other day about what Styles brings to UNC. Motor isn't an issue. The kid can rebound, he wants to play defense, and he wants to win. And he's got some skills. And at 6'7", a guy who's a small forward who can play a little bit down low if he needs to, and will learn more to play outside whenever those opportunities are there. It's a great addition to Roy's program. And it's a fantastic first get for the class of 2021. An in-state kid, you know, we talk about in-state recruiting with football all the time, but it's important in basketball too. Even a national program like UNC, it's always good to get the best players in the state to come to your program, and in Dontrez Styles for the class of 21, Roy Williams has absolutely done that. He will be a nice addition to 2021 when they fill that class out. And he's a really good first start, because you know this kid's going to be a good recruiter for the program and for the rest of that class. So great week for UNC basketball. Got to feel good for Brandon Huffman, and you got to feel good for all you Carolina fans who care so deeply about basketball recruiting, because you're closing out a phenomenal 2020, and you're already off to a good start for 2021. And to the surprise of absolutely nobody, Cole Anthony announced on Friday that he has entered his name in the NBA draft. It's something that happened a while ago, but he held off on making the official announcement because of everything going on in the New York City area. That's where he's from. That's where he's been during the shutdown. In fact, you should, if you don't know, Google it. Cole's been doing some really cool stuff up there, helping to feed some of the people working on the front line, and it's pretty significant in the New York City area. But Carolina fans, from a basketball perspective, maybe some mixed emotions about Cole's one season. 14 and 19 is going to do that. The guy missed 11 games with a knee injury, to no fault of his own. And it's just one of those bad years. So many things went wrong for the program this year, for the team rather, this year, that pointing the blame at Cole or any one person would be pretty ignorant, in my opinion. There are so many factors at play. It was the perfect storm, or rather the imperfect storm, that kind of came to a head. But one and done for Cole. Nobody's surprised that he went. I think when he arrived in Chapel Hill, the understanding is he would be there for one season, and he was moving on. So Cole is gone. The 6 scholarships are open, and North Carolina is going to bring in a monster 2020 class to replace him, as I noted before. And I don't think anybody is really all that surprised that Cole Anthony is no longer an active Tar Heel. Now the football side. Bang, boom, however you want to say it. If this was Batman, you'd have the words splattering up there on Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock, because it was supposed to be Rava Dilworth at 4, Jared Wilson at 4:30, but at 4:01, boom, Dilworth popped, and at 4:02, boom, Jared Wilson popped, and Carolina football went from 12 to 14 commits in the class of 2021. 2 more in-state kids, that makes 13 in-state kids in the class of 21 already reeled in by Mack Brown's program. There's a giant fence. It's really a wall. It's the wall of Mack Brown being put up around the state of North Carolina. And he's keeping a ton of these kids in. He's going to keep a few more in as well. So what the Tar Heels get with Dilworth is just a crazy sick athlete, a kid that's going to show up, and the staff's going to have their options of what they want to do with him. So we don't know for sure where he's going to end up down the road. We do know with Wilson, he's an offensive lineman who was previously committed to Georgia. He's going to be an offensive lineman. As Dina King described him the other day, as a road grader. Looks like he's going to be a guard at Carolina, and certainly fits in with what Stacy Searles and the line want to do with the air raid offense that Phil Longo has employed. For Dilworth, if you haven't seen his film, watch it. Watch his film. Watch a couple of his films. He's an impressive athlete. You'll thoroughly enjoy watching what that kid does. And I know he's a 3-star right now, but we're pretty confident that he has a great chance to end up as a 4-star under Rivals.com. And Wilson is a 3-star as well. Probably stay a 3-star. But like I said, he was once committed to Georgia. That's not half bad. And Dilworth picked Carolina over Alabama. That's not half bad. In fact, in the last 5 weeks, Carolina has gotten a quarterback flip from Alabama, and they got a big-time athlete linebacker to pick Carolina over Alabama when those were Carolina's final 2 schools. The reality is Mack Brown is getting guys that are also seriously being recruited by other big-time programs. They're not getting kids who narrow it down to Carolina and lower-end Power 5s or even a couple of the better non-power conference teams. They're getting big-time kids who the other big-time schools want, and that's why this program has, every element of this program is pointed in the right direction. And you got to have the Jimmies and Joes. You can have the greatest weight room. You can have the greatest locker room. You could have a new Keenum football center that is amazing, and I can't wait to go in there and see it whenever we're all allowed to actually do those kinds of things. And Mack Brown could be amazing on the trail. He could be amazing giving speeches on the stump and doing radio interviews, but you got to get the kids in there. Air raid doesn't work that well with kids that aren't very good. Jay Bateman's defense doesn't work that well with kids that aren't very good. It already showed that it's got a lot of potential last year with mostly kids brought in by the previous regime, which did a solid job recruiting, but not anywhere near the level that Mack is doing right now. So imagine in a couple of years when the full culture of the program is in the works, and you also have the air raid and Bateman's defense, which is being taught down by players. We're already seeing some of that during the shutdown, especially the offense. Phil Longo was talking about that a couple weeks ago, about how they can run player-led practices because they know so much about what they're supposed to do already. But imagine a couple years down the road doing that with this crop of players being brought in. Some of the kids from last year's class, or the original class for Mack, the class of 2020, which is phenomenal, I think number 18 in the nation. And then this one right now, 21, they got 14 kids, and it's ranked number 4 in the nation. So big time week for UNC Athletics. A great get for Roy Williams' program. 2 more phenomenal pieces for the football program. And just everything is heading in the right direction at Carolina. In due time, everything will begin to return to normal, and hopefully there will be a season this fall, because that means so many other things that are a problem right now are in better shape and are really also heading in the right direction. So great week for Carolina. This is the first AJ's Monday Musings. There's going to be plenty of them coming up. We're going to talk not just about the previous week. We're not going to hit on just 1 or 2 things. We're going to talk about a myriad of things, from Carolina history to stuff going on right that moment. We're just going to have some fun with it because it's what I want to talk about, and I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about. Make sure you click like on this if you like this video, subscribe to THI here on YouTube, and hit that notification bell so you always get updates whenever we load stuff, and we load a ton of stuff, especially when the season gets here. We load interviews, practice footage, game footage, all kinds of stuff that we got going on here at THI. If you're not sure about us or just finding out about us, scroll down right now. Just keep scrolling and keep scrolling. You're going to see a lot of really cool stuff that you had no idea that we had, but we do. Thanks for stopping by.